1 minute ago, the courtroom fell silent, not because of an objection or a ruling by the judge, but because of a revelation that sliced through the air like a knife. In the middle of the trial against Sean Diddy Combs, the next witness stepped forward in a navy blue suit, a concealed badge under his lapel. No one expected him. It was former FBI agent Mark Halperin. What he revealed wasn't a scandal. It was a system, a protection scheme that, according to him, reached the most powerful name in the United States, Barack Obama. Halperin's testimony dismantled decades of silence. He said that since the 1990s, the FBI had attempted to investigate Diddy. There were signs, strange financial movements, private parties linked to human trafficking networks, and international ties to shell companies. But every time they got close, a door closed. A warrant was pulled. A witness vanished. It wasn't coincidence, he said. It was intervention from the top. Then he dropped the first direct impact. In 2003, the FBI suspected that Diddy operated as an unofficial informant, someone whose role wasn't formally recorded, yet who received protection. According to Halperin, that level of cover-up could only have been authorized by 3 people in federal government. 3. And at the time, one of them was a rising senator, Barack Obama. The courtroom froze. Even the judge stopped taking notes. The agent opened a black folder and presented a photo. 2005, an event in Chicago. Obama and Diddy together, smiling. It wasn't coincidence, it was connection. The second image the agent presented was even more unsettling. Washington, D.C., a private event. No media coverage. A closed circle of power. Politicians, lobbyists. And there he was, Sean Combs, under an alias. The photo was clear. Not a public event. Not a coincidence. Mr. Combs wasn't attending as a guest, the agent declared. He was participating in informal intelligence briefings with campaign staff in exchange for protection. The defense shouted, "Objection." The judge called for order. But the prosecution produced evidence, emails, travel records, an internal classified memo. It mentioned a cultural alliance between celebrities and political intelligence. In 2009, following Obama's electoral victory, the FBI filed a wiretap request on Diddy. They wanted to track his communications with drug traffickers and money launderers. The request was denied. Who blocked it? A call from an office linked to the White House. The name was redacted, but the timestamp matched the request's cancellation. The courtroom erupted. No one dared say it, but everyone thought it. Someone in the government was protecting the music mogul, and that was just the beginning. The agent spoke of private parties in the Caribbean, minors brought in from Eastern Europe and Brazil under false promises of auditions. He cited a 2012 operation in Miami. One of Diddy's associates was arrested with overwhelming evidence. Within 48 hours, the file was sealed, the suspect released. Why? A single call to Capitol Hill, no explanation, and the case disappeared. The pattern was clear. Every time the truth was near, someone higher up turned off the lights. Then came the revelation that shifted the trial's entire tone. The special agent presented a high-resolution photo, not clandestine, not blurry, clear, sharp. 3 men at a private dinner in Martha's Vineyard, 2014. Sean Combs, Barack Obama, and Reverend Al Sharpton. It wasn't a charity event as officially stated. It was a closed-door meeting at the estate of a billionaire connected to both the entertainment industry and defense. The guest list was obtained through authorized channels, the agent said. It included names linked to sealed investigations, former intelligence assets, offshore bankers, and music industry executives. What Combs had built wasn't just a music empire. It was a bridge between the streets and the halls of power, and he crossed it with impunity. In exchange for information, favors, or silence, his crimes vanished. In 2015, the FBI tracked Combs on a trip from Haiti to Colombia, then to private islands. It looked like leisure. But foreign agencies suggested something else. Meetings with financiers tied to cartels, parties with underage girls lured under false pretenses, and connections to fugitives wanted in the U.S. All this time he wore a mask, said the agent. Mogul, philanthropist, revolutionary, but behind the curtain, he ran a blackmail empire. Then came the sealed envelope. Inside was a CIA memo declassified solely for this trial. The document labeled him a high-value cultural asset. Not officially recruited, but useful. His closeness to key figures yielded informal intelligence. In return, he was allowed to operate without legal interference. Who authorized it? No name was given, but everyone already knew. The agent continued. He placed a notarized accounting book on the table, with official seals. It contained transfers from shell companies linked to Sean Combs. Among the beneficiaries, political advisors, lobbyists, consultants, even someone tied to a Caribbean human trafficking case that mysteriously vanished from court records in 2015. The implications were chilling. Combs wasn't a lone actor. He was part of a structure, a gear in a machine of influence, blackmail, and information warfare. And he didn't work alone. The next document was an internal FBI report titled Project Ghost Room. It was found during a 2022 raid in a Newark, New Jersey warehouse. Inside, dozens of hard drives, hundreds of Polaroids, and a sealed folder labeled Priority File, BL. What that file contained froze the courtroom. Black and white photos of people in compromising positions, flight manifests, audio recordings from nightclubs frequented by Combs, names of record executives, former White House officials, pop artists, keywords like leverage, silence, and confirmation. This wasn't entertainment, the agent said. It was a blackmail system. He recounted a 2017 case. A rising artist refused to perform at a private Diddy event. Days later, tabloids released rumors about her personal life. Soon after, she signed with a label affiliated with Combs. The pattern was undeniable. Pressure, reputational destruction, submission. Then a note in the records appeared. B+/S split. All handled. Donation received. Interpreted as BO for Barack Obama and RS, a high-level executive. The implication was devastating. The agent was clear. This wasn't a direct accusation against President Obama, but the connections were too precise, the favors too timely, and the silence too costly. Mr. Combs wasn't just buying protection, he said. He was buying relevance. He was buying access. And the price was influence. No one breathed in the courtroom. Then the agent opened a manila folder. On the cover, confidential witness files, declinations. Inside, testimonies from 26 people who refused to testify publicly. Why? Threats, non-disclosure agreements, fear. He read several. A choreographer close to Combs claimed she was drugged after a concert party. She woke up with bruises. When she tried to report it, her agency dropped her. A 19-year-old model said he was flown to Miami for a photo shoot. What he found was very different. Cameras, surveillance, phones confiscated. A voice told him, "You only speak when allowed." Then came the most devastating testimony. CW11. He was 17. They promised mentorship. What he endured was abuse, coercion, threats. It was never mentorship, he said. They warned me that if I talked, my family would suffer. The agent closed the folder. They aren't celebrities. They have no platforms or voice, but they exist, and their silence allowed this to go on for far too long. He showed a list of redacted names, dates, locations. "What is this?" the judge asked. The agent answered, "Confirmed victims." The silence was total. No one wrote. No one blinked. Last day of testimony. Security reinforced, not due to outside threats, but because of what was about to be revealed. The agent returned to the stand, holding a single sealed sheet. The judge allowed him to read it. It was a 2015 transcript of an intercepted call between Sean Combs and a senior lobbying group member in Washington. Diddy's voice, verified through forensic software, said, "You said we'd keep it quiet, but I did my part. I brought the money. I brought the artists. We flipped 5 districts in the last election. If I go down, a lot of you go with me." That line shook the courtroom. This wasn't about parties, not contracts. It was about direct political intervention, election manipulation, and the use of celebrities as tools of strategic influence. A juror audibly whispered, "Jesus Christ." The prosecution never stated Obama's direct involvement, but they did show that Diddy had contacts, access, and that his role in elections was no accident. Then the final blow. In 2014, after a scandal involving minors at private parties, the FBI issued a migration alert on Combs returning from St. Bart's. It lasted 37 minutes. Then it vanished. A 41-second call to customs was logged. The origin? A secure line from the White House legal counsel's office. Sean Combs passed through the airport without inspection. 48 hours later, he donated $100,000 to a political committee tied to Obama's re-election campaign. "I'm not accusing," the agent said. "I'm just saying no one else had that level of access, and he used it." The courtroom no longer felt like a trial. It felt like exposure. Exposure of something far bigger than one man. The agent returned for the 7th time, but this time, not with photos or documents. He carried a fireproof briefcase. Inside, a 94-page report labeled Project Ghost Room. It was Diddy's insurance policy. Found in the 2022 raid, the file contained the unthinkable: covert audio recordings in nightclubs, Polaroids of politicians and artists in compromising acts, transcripts of intercepted phone calls, flight logs with encrypted notes, a central file, BL/priority protected. The agent explained: structured blackmail. Every time someone resisted, an artist, an executive, a politician, just a whisper was enough. "We know what you did." One case stood out. In 2017, a rising star refused to sing at a Diddy event. Days later, rumors spread in the press. Weeks later, she signed with a label tied to Bad Boy distribution. All tracked, all documented, all deliberate. Then came a handwritten line in one of the reports: BL/RS divided, payoff confirmed, donation received. BO, Barack Obama, RS, a high-level executive. Though there were no recordings of the former president, the pattern was undeniable: mutual influence, crossed favors, silence traded for relevance. The prosecution no longer needed drama. The evidence spoke for itself. The agent, with firm voice, declared this wasn't about parties or fame. It was a cultural manipulation operation with political and legal ramifications. And the most powerful proof wasn't a recording, it was the silenced voices. He opened one last folder, declined witnesses, confirmed correlations. Inside were dates of Diddy events, names of attendees, sealed complaints, victim accounts cross-referenced with travel logs, calls, and warnings. A pattern emerged. Each event had consequences. Each refusal led to retaliation. The judge asked directly, "How many confirmed victims do you have in these records?" The agent answered, 54. The air thickened. He read one more. A young production assistant said that after an event in Las Vegas, he was taken to a suite without explanation. The next thing he remembers, waking up on a private jet, headed abroad. No contracts, no reports, gone off the grid for months. Everyone knew what had happened, but now, someone had said it out loud, and under oath. The judge suspended the session for emotional exhaustion. The jury left in silence. A silence so deep, not even the media could fill it with headlines. Outside the courthouse, the press no longer talked about celebrities. They spoke of a network, a structure. Sean Combs's trial now had a new name in the media: the Blacklist trial, because that's what had emerged: a file, a buried truth. The agent returned one last time, but not with new evidence. This time, with a statement. "For years," he said, "the FBI tried to dismantle this system, but every attempt was blocked. Every thread we pulled led higher." Then came the final, most powerful line. Mr. Combs had the president's number. Murmurs, tension, shock, and he used it to stop arrests, to cancel alerts, to shut down legal actions. This was no longer about protecting a public figure. It was about protecting a system that benefited from blackmail, influence, and silence. Combs wasn't the monster, the agent said. He was the messenger, the operator, the collector. The trial was coming to an end, but the echo of these revelations was just beginning. The agent left the courtroom for the final time. Behind him he left a nation staring at its own cracks and wondering who else is on that list. When the court reconvened one last time, the atmosphere had changed. There was no longer spectacle, no more objections. Only truth remained. The prosecution asked that all presented evidence be considered: the political connections, the hidden payments, the purchased silence, the suppressed testimonies, and above all, the patterns. "This is not a conspiracy," the prosecutor said. "It is an architecture, and it's been operating for over 2 decades. The judge nodded. Before ending the session, the agent delivered one last sentence. What began as protection for an artist became the export of institutionalized blackmail, and with that, it was over. The jury left the room. Diddy looked down, and for the first time, he said nothing. Outside, reporters didn't know where to begin. How do you summarize a trial that proved power can be bought? That music, politics, and justice had all shared the same room, and that finally the truth had knocked at the door? This wasn't just a case. It was a mirror, and all of us saw our reflection.